Most people wake up in the morning and eat what they believe is a healthy breakfast, but without realizing it, they end up shutting down fat burning for the rest of the day. The worst part is that most people have no idea this is happening. Even more concerning, their liver slowly starts getting overloaded and they don't notice it at all. Here's something most people are unaware of. More than 1 in 3 adults already have fatty liver, and the majority don't experience any clear symptoms. The problem is that once the liver becomes congested, the body loses its ability to burn fat properly, especially around stubborn areas like the belly. That's why people can eat less, exercise more, and do everything they're told, yet still feel stuck with no progress. The encouraging part is that there are 3 simple breakfast foods that may help support the liver in clearing stored fat and restarting fat burning again. One of these foods is often used incorrectly by most people. The real difference isn't just the food itself, but how you combine it with other things that can truly trigger the right metabolic response. Think of the liver as the body's soccer mom organ. I call it that because just like a soccer mom who handles everything for the family, the liver handles almost everything for the body. It is also one of the most important fat-burning organs you have. Now, imagine the liver as a shipping warehouse. Every bit of food you eat has to pass through it. Over time, imagine boxes of fat arriving continuously, but nothing ever leaves the warehouse. The boxes just pile up higher and higher until the entire system slows down. That's what fatty liver is like. Once that happens, the body stops efficiently using stored fat, like belly fat and love handles. The exit system is basically blocked. And this is the key thing most people miss. Fat loss doesn't really begin in your stomach. It starts in your liver. So the real goal isn't just eating healthy, but clearing the backlog so the system can function properly again. The first food is eggs with the yolk. Eggs with the yolk act like a liver fat export support food. The benefit isn't just the protein, even though that helps too. The key nutrient here is choline. Inside the liver, fat isn't simply burned. It has to be packaged, loaded, and shipped out to be used as energy. That entire process depends heavily on choline. When fat keeps arriving faster than it can be processed, it builds up and contributes to fatty liver. But when the system is supported properly, that fat can actually be moved out of the liver instead of being trapped inside it. Over time, excess fat accumulation slows everything down. And when that happens, the body stops tapping into stored fat because there's nowhere for it to go. This is where choline becomes important. Some human research on fatty liver has shown impressive results. A PubMed study referenced by Dr. Buckman reported that with choline intake, all of the fat in the liver went away. In those cases, patients with fatty liver were scanned again, and the fat buildup had completely resolved, not just improved, but gone. Other larger studies also suggest that higher choline intake is associated with roughly a 30% lower risk of fatty liver, so including eggs regularly, especially with the yolk, can be a simple and effective habit. While choline supplements exist, whole food sources are generally preferred. A small additional tip is to drizzle extra virgin olive oil over the eggs. This adds another signal to the body, encouraging it to use fat for fuel more efficiently. So now you have 2 supportive effects working together. The eggs help with moving fat out of the liver, and the olive oil helps signal the body to burn fat as energy. Olive oil essentially acts like a signal telling your body to start using fat as fuel. A 2018 study published in the Canadian Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology examined 50 patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Participants were randomly assigned to either extra virgin olive oil, making up about 20% of their daily calorie intake, or a control oil for 12 weeks. The findings were notable. The group consuming extra virgin olive oil showed significantly lower levels of liver enzymes such as ALT and AST, both markers linked to liver stress. Ultrasound scans also confirmed clear improvements in liver condition in the olive oil group compared to the control. The key takeaway is that most people focus on only one change at a time, and that's often why they don't see results. When foods like eggs are combined with olive oil, the effects can work together more effectively. The second breakfast option is Greek yogurt with berries. This is simple but powerful. Full-fat, organic Greek yogurt paired with berries like blueberries. It may look basic, but research shows it can have a strong metabolic impact. A 2019 clinical study followed 100 obese women aged 36 to 66 who who had both non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and metabolic syndrome. They were given either about 220 grams of yogurt daily or milk for 24 weeks. Compared to the milk group, the yogurt group showed a significant reduction in intrahepatic fat, dropping by about 3.44%. Along with that, ALT levels decreased, fasting insulin improved, and post-meal insulin response also became more stable. The study also found improvements in gut health, including reduced gut permeability, often called leaky gut, lower inflammation, reduced oxidative stress, and positive changes in gut microbiota composition. Importantly, this wasn't just about calories. It was about how the body regulates energy. Your gut and liver are constantly communicating. Every time you eat, your gut sends signals that influence whether your body stores energy or burns it. You can think of the gut like a control panel and the liver like the engine. If the control signals are unstable, the engine never runs properly. Many common breakfast foods cause quick blood sugar spikes. When glucose rises rapidly, the body often shifts into a storage mode even if total calories aren't high. Greek yogurt helps stabilize the gut environment and improves microbial balance, which supports more consistent metabolic signaling. Berries add another layer of benefit by improving insulin sensitivity. This means the body is less likely to store fat and more likely to access stored energy. In simple terms, the same meal can lead to very different outcomes depending on how insulin behaves. When insulin stays stable, the body can finally tap into stored fat more easily, especially stubborn fat around the lower abdomen. Adding olive oil here further slows digestion. That helps prevent sharp spikes and crashes in blood sugar, keeping the body in a more steady energy-burning state instead of switching repeatedly into storage mode. The third key food is avocado, which plays a different role in this system. Many people still believe dietary fat automatically leads to fat gain, but certain fats actually do the opposite. The body constantly shifts between two metabolic states, storing fat or burning fat. A major factor controlling this switch is insulin. Think of insulin like a dimmer switch. For most people, it stays too high or too reactive, keeping fat burning turned down. Avocados contain oleic acid, a monounsaturated fat shown to improve insulin sensitivity. They also provide phytosterols and B vitamins that help reduce inflammation and calm cortisol levels. When insulin response becomes more stable and inflammation decreases, the body becomes less likely to store incoming energy and more likely to access stored fat, especially long-term stubborn fat. In that sense, avocado doesn't just support fat loss, it helps change the internal environment that controls fat storage in the first place. Combining avocado with olive oil reinforces this effect, strengthening the signal to use fat for fuel rather than store it. When you step back, this creates a simple system. Eggs help support fat export from the liver. Yogurt with berries stabilizes gut and insulin signaling. Avocado supports fat-burning conditions by improving metabolic balance. Olive oil acts as a multiplier that strengthens these signals across the board. In practice, the idea is simple. Combine these foods into a single breakfast. Eggs with yolk, Greek yogurt with berries and avocado, and then add extra virgin olive oil over them. Some people even include olive oil in coffee as part of this approach. The goal is to provide the body with one consistent message instead of conflicting signals, support fat use, stabilize energy, and reduce fat storage pressure. Olive oil plays the central role in reinforcing that signal. Many people try parts of this approach, eggs, yogurt, avocado, but overlook the importance of the full combination or use lower quality versions of the key components. Without that consistent signaling, the shift toward efficient fat burning becomes much harder to achieve. Not all olive oil is created equal, and that's where a lot of people get stuck without realizing it. A significant amount of olive oil sold in regular grocery stores is either low quality, stored for long periods, or sometimes even blended with cheaper seed oils. When that happens, it can lose important compounds like polyphenols that are linked to anti-inflammatory effects and many of the benefits people are actually trying to get. If those key compounds are missing or reduced, your body doesn't receive the same biological signal. And when that signal is weak, you might still eat the right foods and see some improvement, but eventually progress slows down and you hit a plateau. That's why some people prefer freshly pressed, high-quality olive oil. The idea is that it comes from small farms, is first press harvested, rich in polyphenols, and shipped soon after production so it stays fresh and potent. One common way people describe good olive oil is its taste. It should feel peppery, slightly strong, and even a bit sharp in the throat. That sensation is often associated with higher polyphenol content. If the oil tastes too smooth or flat, some believe that may be a sign it's lower in these compounds. From a buying perspective, people are often advised to look for extra virgin, single origin olive oil in dark glass bottles, ideally labeled as first cold press or first harvest. Storage conditions also matter since light and heat can degrade quality over time. That's why some people choose bottles from the back of the shelf where they're exposed to less light and handling. There are also people who prefer to order directly from specialty sources rather than supermarkets, claiming it helps ensure freshness and quality. In their experience, using a higher quality olive oil consistently can make a noticeable difference in digestion, energy stability, and cravings. However, it's important to understand that these claims are based on personal experience and marketing narratives, and results can vary widely from person to person. The main idea being emphasized is that consistency and quality matter more than just adding foods randomly. If the oil is low quality, oxidized, or heavily processed, the intended dietary signal may be weaker, which could affect overall results even if the rest of the diet is well structured. When people combine eggs, yogurt, berries, avocado, and olive oil in a consistent way, they often believe the real benefit comes from stacking these signals together rather than eating them separately. For example, eggs with olive oil, yogurt with berries and olive oil, and avocado with olive oil and salt are often suggested as part of the same routine. Some people report noticeable changes within a few weeks when following such a pattern consistently, especially if they are also monitoring overall health markers like liver enzymes or fatty liver indicators. Others are advised to follow it for a longer period, such as 60 days, before reassessing. At the same time, it's acknowledged that food alone is not the full picture. Factors like sleep quality, daily movement, and stress levels also play a major role in fat loss and metabolic health. Without those foundations, progress can be limited even with an optimized diet. Ultimately, the concept is less about strict rules and more about creating a consistent pattern that supports the body's ability to regulate energy. Some people prefer to consume all these foods together in one meal, while others spread them throughout the day, depending on comfort and appetite. The key focus remains on consistency rather than timing. In the end, the message is simple. Many people are already eating parts of this pattern, but may not be combining or applying it consistently enough to see meaningful change.